Do you recall a few weeks back when out of nowhere, Flappy Bird suddenly reappeared and was available on the app stores? But something was weird. It was full of microtransactions and had some Web3 nonsense in it. Well, that's because the original developer had absolutely nothing to do with it and had let go of the trademark. Now, Winamp isn't in the exact same situation, but it's effectively the same thing. The people that own Winamp today are not at all the people that made Winamp when you were using it as a kid. And back in May, they said this. Big news. Winamp source code will be available on September 24th. And would you look at that? It's past September 24th, and you know what? They actually kept their promise. There is actually a repo that contains the source code. Oh my god, where do we start with this thing? This is an absolute mess of a repo. When you buy a codebase and you have absolutely no idea what's inside the codebase, you may do some things that you probably shouldn't do. You know what? Let's start with the license. Now, the first bad sign is it doesn't actually say the license version on GitHub. It says view license. And the reason for that is they use a custom license, Winamp Collaborative License, WCL. Now, custom doesn't necessarily mean bad, it just usually does. And I'll talk about why it's 1.01 instead of 1.0 in just a bit. Let's have a read of this. The Winamp Collaborative License is a free, copyleft license for software and other kinds of work. Wait, it's a copyleft license? Hold up. They might actually be cooking here. Let's read the rest. It is designed to ensure that you have the freedom to use, modify, and study the software, but with certain restrictions on the distribution of modifications to maintain the integrity and collaboration of the project. Let's go down to where it says the restrictions. No distribution of modified versions. You may not distribute modified versions of the software, whether in source or binary form. Official distribution. Only the maintainers of the official repository are allowed to distribute the software and its modification. As a brief reminder, this is the definition of copyleft. Copyleft is a general method for making a program or other work free in the sense of freedom, not zero price, and requiring all modified and extended versions of the program to be free as well. So you have a license that blocks distribution and modified versions that is claiming to be copyleft, a concept entirely built around distributing modified versions. I guess there's a first for everything. Or, hear me out, I don't think they know what they're doing. Now look, most developers don't really understand licenses. If this was the only thing, it wouldn't really matter, but look at how long is left in the video. We're just getting started. There is obviously a bunch of troll issues and troll pull requests. The voices. You cannot silence us, fat ass Reddit mod. We will rise up. Why? What? Sure. How? You cannot silence us. Good morning, everyone. This is a repo. Obviously, this was going to happen. However, do not be mistaken into thinking that every single issue and every single PR is just a joke. Some of them point out a very, very legitimate issue. Dolby copyrighted code in repo. Can't wait for lawsuit from Dolby. Because yes, would you be surprised to know that there are things in this repo that they decided to include in their dump on GitHub that they probably don't have the rights to distribute. Copyright 2000, 2002, Dolby Laboratories, Inc., all rights reserved, do not copy, do not distribute, confidential information. Again, if this was just one file, it wouldn't really matter. And initially, the developer, I'm not even going to call him the developer, the grifter, didn't realize there was implementation files in here and thought it was just header files. And header files would be fine. That is protected under Google versus Oracle. The whole thing about, like, building off of APIs, you can't copyright an API. It's not just header files, though. It's very clearly implementations. But hey, it's not just Dolby code. Tree includes source code for shoutcast DNAs. Not only do you leak one project source code, you leak another project source code. Now, whilst we're on the topic of leaking things, too bad they're expired, because this could have been so much better. They leaked a bunch of certs. Luckily for them, they expired in June. Because if they didn't expire, you could just start signing things as if you're from Winamp and it looks like it's officially from the project. Now, you might notice these 29 commits here, and it is crystal clear to me that the person running this repo has a rudimentary understanding of both Git and GitHub. All of these changes they are making are being done in the public. This is the commit right here where they removed the certs. You can still go and see all of the certs here. Whilst this commit here that has the potentially unlicensed code, the absolutely unlicensed code, and code that you don't have the license to, this isn't in the Git history anymore. They don't know how to remove it from GitHub, so you can still see all of it. They still have a direct link to it on the repo. Can anybody at all explain to me why this is being done in public? Why didn't the repo go private so you can fix up everything that shouldn't be in here? Why are things not rebased so it actually has a clean history that you can start building off of that doesn't continue leaking the things that you should have removed? Honestly, the easier thing to do at this point is delete everything, start with a clean repo, make sure the things that shouldn't be getting leaked are not getting leaked, and then go from there. However, do not fear. There are still things present in the repo that probably shouldn't be there. So, wait, they literally just did it as I was recording. Okay, so there was a directory here called delete Qt directory. This contained the commercial release of Qt. They just put it in the repo. How are you this incompetent? Also, it's probably not going to get rebased. It's probably still just going to be sitting there for anybody to go and grab. Now, the other thing we have is this build tools directory. Now, this doesn't include anything that is, like, paid for. It's just a very funny directory. This contains 7-zip portable, just like all of 7-zip portable. For some reason, we have another version of 7-zip. We have a Git exe and Tortoise SV. Why is there a Git exe in this repo? If you've got the repo, you've got Git already. Also, none of this repo is SVN. Why is Tortoise SVN here? Let me be clear about something. 7-zip, Git, and Tortoise SVN are not build tools at all. Like, there are some build-related things in here. I don't know if they can even distribute these. They probably can't, all things considered. But at least these are build tools. We have SDKs in here. But these are not build tools. Now, let's get back to that license. This had a change 17 hours ago. Let's see exactly what changed in that commit. So, we changed the version number. We removed this line here, and this is the exact same sentence. I have no idea why this is being shown as modified. If I'm missing something that changed here, please let me know. So, they had another restriction. No forking. You may not create, maintain, or distribute a forked version of the software. Why, you may ask, did they change that? Well, there is an issue on the GitHub. License violates GitHub TOS. That is obviously an extreme statement, and this is what it says in the TOS. License grant to other users. Any user-generated content you post publicly, including issues, comments, and contributions to other users' repository, may be viewed by others. By setting your repositories to be viewed publicly, you agree to allow others to view and fork your repositories. This means that others may make their own copies of content from your repositories in repositories they control. If you set your pages and repositories to be viewed publicly, you grant each user of GitHub a non-exclusive worldwide license to use, display, and perform your content through the GitHub service and to reproduce your content solely on GitHub as permitted through GitHub's functionality. For example, through forking. You may grant further rights if you adopt a license. If you are uploading content you did not create or own, you are responsible for ensuring the content you upload is licensed under terms that grant these permissions to other GitHub users. Source available code is allowed on GitHub. It doesn't say you can't block modification or block distribution. When it's talking about making a fork, it's through the GitHub service. But by using the GitHub service, you are implicitly agreeing to allow every single user to fork your repo if you have a public repo. You can't go and say users are not allowed to fork it. Also, this is the most important thing. They call this a collaborative license. Do you know how you collaborate on GitHub? You fork the repo, you make modifications, and then you try to merge them back into the main repo. By having a license that blocks forking, that blocks modification, you literally are not able to work on the project. Now, this right here is my favorite issue. Please tone it down. I don't want Winamp to regret open sourcing. They never did. They never open sourced, they never plan to open source, and I highly doubt they ever actually will open source it. If they want to go open source, they can do so. They own the code, they can release it under MIT. This is not open source. What this is trying to farm absolute morons like this and a bunch of other people in this repo who are like, actually, open source only means that I can see the code. The OSI does not actually own the definition of open source, so it's open source. No, shut up. You're an idiot. It is not open source. It is source available. Trying to pretend it's open source is not gonna make it open source. Now, just for good measure, here is one of the issues that has already been deleted. Riz the README by XX RizMaster XX. Sadly, we cannot see the commits that were made, and their GitHub account is deleted or the repo's deleted, so we can't actually see what rizzing the README actually means. But I don't hate it. Also, random picture of Steve Jobs for some reason. The people running this repo, the people that own Winamp, have no clue what they're doing. Amateurs should not be writing software licenses. It's one thing if you want to write a meme license, right? Go ahead, write a meme license. But there's a reason most people do not suggest ever trying to do so. This is a non-functional license. All of this repo is a mess. This should not be public. You shouldn't be removing things like this publicly and then just leaving a commit there. I don't know what they're doing, but you know what? This is a gold mine, an absolute gold mine of stupidity. And I have no doubt that there is going to be more that comes out of this. So keep an eye on it and just watch what they do, because it's going to be fun. But let me know your thoughts down below. Were you a Winamp user at one point in time? Did you like Winamp? And do you use Wake Up today, which is the re-implementation by some of the people that used to work on Winamp who actually know what's in the code base? For the record, anyone who thinks that they can make use of the Winamp code now, no, they can't. The license literally forbids it because it's not open source at all. Anyway, if you like the video, go like the video. And if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, Scribes, Libero Pay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and what are you doing? Just what are you doing?